All right, updating the breaking story we brought to you just a few minutes ago. Defense Department official confirming to Fox that there is a lockdown at the US Naval Academy campus in Annapolis, Maryland. No additional information being provided yet, but earlier we told you multiple sources are reporting a disgruntled former midshipman who was dismissed from the academy apparently returned to campus with a gun. We are told from people on the ground there have been gunshots heard inside one of the academy buildings. We don't have any casualties. We don't have any other information other than someone was knocking on doors, believed to be this angry midshipman, ex-midshipman, claiming to be with the military police. So we are monitoring this live from Annapolis, Maryland. We'll continue to head back as we get more information.
All right, earlier today at the White House, President Trump had the opportunity to remember Charlie Kirk while speaking to reporters. Let's take a look.
I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. I've never seen a person that was a little bit older get along so well with you. He got along with young people. I've never seen anything like it, and he really helped me a lot. I did very well, as you know, with young people, and he was a big factor.
Mr. President, are you going to go to Charlie Kirk's funeral, sir?
I will be.
You will. Do you know when that will be?
I believe it's in Arizona, and they've asked me to go, and I think I have an obligation to do.
Do you know when that will be?
I'm hearing I hear next weekend. Whenever it is, I'll be going.
All right, joining us now is Donald Trump Jr. is with us. First of all, Don, thanks for being here. Our deepest sympathies. I know how close you were to Charlie, how much he loved you, your entire family, especially your father. You know, for a lot of people, we're having a very hard time comprehending or making sense of this because it doesn't make sense. Your reaction to all of it, I know he was a dear friend of yours.
No, it doesn't make any sense, John. I mean, Charlie was such a great guy, kind, articulate, one of the sweetest people I know. You know, he gave so many of those who disagreed with him. He actually gave them his platform to debate. He wanted to have that conversation. He understood without that conversation that violence would ensue, and so he did everything to prevent that. And because he did so, and he did so articulately and so effectively, they killed him. His threat wasn't that he was a threat or malicious or anything. It was that he was very effective, and they had to make sure that that didn't continue. They tried doing the same thing with my father. I've now had to have a conversation about a loved one, almost being assassinated or actually being assassinated now 3 times with my 5 young children. And it's just not acceptable, Sean. It has to stop. It's absolutely disgusting. When you think of the things that Charlie spoke about, he spoke about God, he spoke about American values, he spoke about family. It was very controversial, Sean, very controversial that he said, men can't be women. He was about as reasonable as it possibly gets. And it didn't matter. They still killed him. So it's been a rough day.
It has been a rough time. It's been rough for everybody. And, what he was doing was actually magical. It was brilliant in so many different ways. He'd go into a hostile environment, a university campus, knowing there's a lot of left-wing indoctrination often going on, inviting everybody, all political points of view, prove me wrong. Let's have a discussion. And he'd do it with a smile on his face, and he was always a good cheer. I never saw the guy unhappy. He was always, upbeat, always open, didn't care about people disagreeing, wanted to have that dialogue, that debate. I would think a university should be a bastion of free speech and discussion and debate like that.
100%. I mean, he did that so well, and I think that's why he was able to shift and move the needle so much for the youth of America, who for decades were indoctrinated since kindergarten with leftist ideology. So he went to those places. He understood we couldn't just scream in our echo chambers to people who already agreed with us. We actually had to get out there. And you're not going to win over everyone, Sean, but I think if you look at what he did on college campuses, and God knows I was with him many times at those places, and there were times I questioned it, certainly early on, be like, wait a second, we're conservatives. We're like, we're not supposed to do it at a college campus. And we did it. And you realize when he made those arguments and he did it in his calm demeanor, he was able to win over, maybe not the radicals that were there to scream at him, but the people who went in there with an open mind, the people who went in there wanting to find out more, those people heard those arguments and they realized very quickly that the ideas of the left weren't just bad ideas, they were absolutely ridiculous. And so, I truly credit Charlie with changing the minds and the mindset of so many millions of Americans, not just youth. I think he probably reached out across the aisle to many people, even if his targeted demographic was the younger generation that so many Republicans avoided for so long. He did that so well. It was funny. I was thinking about it earlier. I think I was the reason he was on your show the first time ever back in 2016. I think I was supposed to do your show, and I was thinking something was late, so I was going to be on stage. And I call you like, "Hey, Sean, I got a great one for you. I'm sending over Charlie Kirk." And you're like, "Who's Charlie Kirk?" I go, "Trust me, it'll be great." And you're like, "Tell me." I'm like, "He's 21." He's like, "Dad, I can't put a 21-year-old on in prime time. Just Sean, I'm not going to be there. Congratulations.
Right.
I have a great for you."
That's twice in my life I've had to say you were right. That's an inside joke. There's a more serious issue at hand here, and that is what has gone on the last 10 years since your father and Melania came down the escalator at Trump Tower. The names that you and your family and your father have been called, the weaponization of our justice system. I brought this up with Eric last night. Nobody seemed to care that a judge got away with a phony valuation of Mar-a-Lago. Nobody seemed to care that a misdemeanor whose statute of limitations had run out about a legal NDA was turned into a novel 34 felony count. Nobody cared about the double standard rating Mar-a-Lago, but not rating Hillary Clinton's home or Joe Biden. He had 4 locations, top secret classified information. It really is troublesome to me that the left, and add to that their incendiary, insane language, which I do believe it has a dehumanizing effect. Maybe we're now numb to it because I play it every night and I play it every day on radio. I don't know. But we have to examine, they have to be held accountable for this never-ending rage, and it is rage, it is madness. Trump derangement syndrome is real.
And Sean, the violence only goes one way. Okay, it only goes one way. We've seen that now. Whether it's the assassination attempts on my father's life, whether it's Charlie Kirk, whether it's the threatening of Supreme Court justice or doxing ICE agents, that goes one way. It is entirely owned by the left. So, when I watch, the radical left television right now, well, it's really a fault of both sides. No, it's not. It's not a fault of both sides. What was Charlie's fault? What were the things that he did that were so radical and so terrible? He talked about God, family, country, the Constitution is good, men can't be women. These are not radical ideas, Sean, but they are radical if they're effective against the agenda of the left. You saw that. Trump was effective against the agenda of the left, so you take him out. But they don't talk about the softball game shooting of Congress, Steve Scalise and the others. Again, violence against Republicans. They don't talk about I can't frankly name a mass shooting in the last year or two in America that wasn't committed by a transgender lunatic that's been pumped up on probably hormones since they were 3-year-olds because they want to normalize that. And if you say something about it, it's verboten because we're supposed to trust the science even if it's not science and even if everyone understands it. Those people are protected, they are hidden, they are beyond reproach. You'll never see the manifesto. Now you're reading about trans paraphernalia written on the cartridges of this rifle that killed one of my dearest friends in life. It is absolute sickness. And I think the one thing that Charlie perhaps did better than anyone is Charlie actually brought people together. He brought people together that didn't necessarily agree with him. They showed up at those events. They heard him. They saw the exuberance of all these other youth, and they said, you know what? This guy's right. Like, there's nothing wrong with family or loving your country or loving America and being a patriot, believing in the Constitution. And the fact that he was able to be that effective is exactly why they had to take him out. Just like my father was willing and is willing to take on the swamp, to take on the establishment, to take on the globalists and the world elite and do what's right for the hardworking men and women of America. You know what? You can say those things, but if you actually start doing it, if you're effective at doing it, we're going to take you out. This is a constant theme. Charlie was one of the kindest and mildest souls I've ever seen. He did those things. He had those conversations with a smile on his face. Again, as I said earlier, he gave his biggest detractors, the people who hated him most in the world, he literally gave them his platform on a daily basis to argue their ideas. And they couldn't do it effectively, so they had to kill him. And that's sick. That's a sad place to be as a country, as a civilization, and certainly in America.
Don, I know you're close to his family. Have you had a chance to speak with them?
You know what? I called. We called Erica yesterday, his wife, and when we heard, he was at the hospital. He was perhaps stable. He was getting a lot of blood. She actually called us back, and for some reason we just saw the missed call, but it didn't actually ring. By the time we noticed that and got back, we'd heard the news. So I have not yet. Obviously, we're praying for them. We're thinking of them. We've sent the notes, but the way to make sure that Charlie's legacy lives on is just to stay active, maintain that unafraid posture that he had, and he showed so many, and opened the door for so many people to actually speak their minds, to speak the truth, to speak to that power. If we all learn something from Charlie and continue to do that, there's a great future for America. But if the other side gets what they want, which is to make us cower in fear and hide in silence and to shut up, that's not going to work. You see what's going on, the way they're continuing to, even today, trying to vilify him on left-wing media and anyone that defends him. But we're in a sick place. We must be unafraid, Sean. We must continue to speak our minds. We must all be out there. It can't just be Charlie Kirk or you or me or my father. It has to be everyone. And if we band together and unite, like he united so many people, so many people that were not conservative, that didn't necessarily even believe in those things, that weren't even political, but they saw that movement. They saw that energy. They saw the good. I think Charlie would be incredibly proud to see that legacy live on, and it will.
I think it will, and I think your message of pushing forward in spite of the risk. You've had white powder sent to you. I've had white powder sent to me. You've had threats against you and your family. You've watched your dad have two would-be assassins coming within 1 millimeter of losing his life. We now, after yesterday, we know what difference 1 millimeter can make. But there's nobody that I know that believes in the MAGA movement, your father, what's right for the country, that loves our Constitution, that's going to back down. And but is this now just the new reality we have to accept? I have about 30 seconds.
Unfortunately, I think it is, Sean. They've shown that if we try to just be nice and placate them, we actually have to stand up for ourselves. If we don't, they're more than happy to take us out. That doesn't mean violence. We can do that with words. We can do that with actions. We can do that with voting. We can do that with getting involved. But we must get involved. Apathy is what's going to destroy us. If they shame us into a corner and they fear us into silence, that's when they win. And if they win, that's a truly dark and scary place for America. We can't allow that to happen, and Charlie would have never allowed us to do that.
Yeah, Don, I truly am sorry. As a friend, longtime friend, I know how close you were to him. I know how much he admired and looked up to you, and your entire family and your dad. And I know this is a tough day. Thanks for being with us and sharing your thoughts about it. We appreciate it.